Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dave Bentley, the Marketing Director at IAC National, and I'd like to welcome you to our IAC National webinar series. Today's webinar is titled Looking Past the Skills Gap Crutch, How Electrical Contractors Can Market and Recruit Talent in Today's Challenging World. Please note that we will be recording this session and it will be available to you on the IAC website under the Training tab and Continuing Education. You are joining the webinar either via your telephone line and have dialed in using the code provided, or listening in using your computer speakers and voice over IP feature. All attendees are muted for the duration of the call. We encourage you to send in your questions by typing them on the dashboard on the right side of the screen, and we'll answer those questions at the end of the webinar. Today's speaker will be Dainella Nartker. Dainella is a recruitment marketing strategist at Rhinofox. And after a successful career in Antarctica and Colorado, Dainella has applied her tool set of online marketing tactics to create strategies that automate finding and delivering skilled trades workers, hiring leads to contractors. This is fueled by her positive experiences as a JW, and she has developed a keen interest in seeing that skilled trades promoted as a career option for both the long-term industry and economic benefits. Without further ado, I give you Dainella Nartker.
Thank you, Dave. I appreciate the opportunity to be here and share this information with IAC contractors. This webinar might be a bit dense, so I encourage folks to take notes and write down questions for that Q&A session at the end that Dave mentioned. With such a broad workforce needs within the IAC membership, I decided to share a more comprehensive strategy with you today to allow you to take home what most resonates with you to your own company rather than limiting you on your choices and information. And Dave is recording this, so as it's dense, please refer to that recording if you have questions, as well as on the final slide, there'll be a resources link where you can get supplemental information, the slide deck, or even reach out and ask me questions afterwards for reference. So your time is precious, so let's dive right in and get to it. So we're here today to review an online recruitment marketing strategy that can attract skilled electrical workers to your company. The strategy I share today is just a single approach to sourcing candidates, and it's not intended to be a comprehensive tutorial of inbound recruitment marketing. In essence, this candidate sourcing strategy is a systematic approach that finds, filters, and delivers both active and passive candidate leads to your recruiting team. And it builds a company database asset of qualified candidates to offer future employment opportunities to. Now, just to be clear for the context of this webinar, a candidate or a candidate lead is a qualified worker who has shown interest in your employment opportunity and engaged at some level, but has not yet completed an application to become a full applicant. They may not have applied for a number of reasons. It's time-consuming and repetitive to complete employment applications. They don't recognize the value to them in your offer from a standard job style announcement. They aren't familiar enough with your company, or maybe they're just not quite ready to leave their job, but they're planning a career move soon. Or their current employment is good enough, decent, it's okay. Even if they aren't thriving, they need an incentive or to be presented an opportunity in order to make a career change. Or they could be looking for exactly what your company offers, but they haven't understood your employee value proposition properly, or don't know it's an option that they could take advantage of. Or maybe they just plain old need to talk to somebody at your company. They need to have a personal connection. One of your recruiters needs to be able to reach out to them. So this strategy puts your employment opportunity in front of an audience of electrical workers during their average daily activities to provide a fast and easy way for them to open an employment conversation with you. Your recruiting team can then follow up to overcome hesitations like we just listed with educating them on your EVP and your awesome company culture and how working for your company can be their next best career move. Plus, even if the timing isn't right for them to hire on with you today, using this strategy you can build a company asset, a list of qualified worker contact information to make future offers to without incurring new advertising costs. So why are we even having to have this conversation? Why is this even a need in the first place? Well, there are new roadblocks to sourcing qualified candidates today that historically have not been such significant obstacles. First, we're in the midst of a labor shortage that will only worsen with a projected industry growth of 14%, the retirement of boomers, the lack of VOTEC in high schools to fill the apprentice pipeline, and because a skilled electrician can't be made overnight. It's 4 years, even if you're growing your own. This means that traditional post and pray sourcing tactics aren't producing enough quality candidate leads because qualified workers currently have their pick of jobs and are likely already employed, Thus, they're not looking at job boards where post and pray excels. And just to make it more fun, let's add in millennials. It's a buyer's market with a whole new mindset. This perfect storm results in, as we all know, significant challenges to hiring skilled electrical workers. And without a solid workforce to back you up, your company can be forced to pass on lucrative project opportunities. Even if you know it's a great customer, you might be forced to decline in order to maintain the customer service and quality standards that your company stands for. Or maybe you had the workforce, but unexpected turnover or events have forced you to hire less than ideal workers who, quite frankly, aren't a great match for your company culture, just to have that body to meet ratios on the job site, and now you're dealing with quality or morale issues. So is this a blip, or is this situation likely here to stay? Research shows that this began long before the 2008 recession, and while slightly relieved by said recession, in some states more than others, the labor gap is a growing challenge. Long-term solutions are necessary, and there are programs rising to meet the demand, like IEC's apprentice training, micro-works, high school outreach, and efforts like the AGC's collaborations with higher education. And growing your own is a very valid tactic, but for higher turnover, expected or not, or active growth with great project opportunities that are out there, an effective candidate sourcing strategy for recruitment will only continue to become vital. So a solution for today would keep the candidate pipeline full. It's that simple. Specifically, it needs to overcome those roadblock challenges. For instance, the labor shortage has reduced the unemployment of skilled electrical workers to 5%, making the post and pray active candidate pool small with over 200,000 contractors in the U.S. fishing in it. So while job boards remain useful and should be a tool in your overall recruitment strategy, if you want more candidates to select from, sourcing passive as well as active candidates will increase your options. Now, I'm not suggesting that you intentionally steal workers from your fellow IEC members. That violates the agreements that you so successfully operate under as an association. But according to Gallup, 51% of employees are already open to a new job opportunity. If your culture is a great fit, someone feels valued as an employee, and they are supported to advance their career, you might not fit the statistic. But if you are recruiting, why not work with the current circumstances? Place your employment offer in front of candidates who are open to a better match because they're already dissatisfied where they're at. Allow them to find a better career fit and a culture match with your company where they can thrive. Also, there's a new attitude and mindset. Millennials have been taught by watching massive layoffs affecting their parents that loyalty doesn't necessarily pay off anymore, and that if they want to advance their career, they actually have to change jobs. The average stay at a job is 4 to 6 years. Now, is this 100% true at every company? No. Can your company beat this with retention strategies, an attractive EVP, and a great company culture? Of course. But for recruiting, this is reflective of the buyer's mindset that is present in today's market. High competition for workers also makes timely follow-up more relevant. This makes an organized approach to gathering and following up with candidate leads even more critical to converting a candidate lead into a new employee. So in light of those requirements, it makes sense to employ proven online marketing tactics to automate the finding and delivering of higher quality candidate leads to your team, and support your team to be successful by optimizing for conversion of a candidate lead into a hire on the front end of your recruitment funnel. So what does this look like in action? Let's look at a couple of examples. So here's a case study that was employed for the benefit of another skilled trade that's experiencing a similar labor shortage, trucking. By using targeted online advertising at an ad budget investment of $500 per month for 8 months, they achieved 4,000 total ad clicks, 21 qualified applicants, and each month the ad was seen by over 200,000 unique individuals. Or looking at the second company that also employs skilled workers, they offer IT help and maintenance and cleaning services. Their goal was to attract more qualified candidates in specific geographical areas. This source outperformed their other channels and produced 3 times more qualified leads than any other channel they were using, and saw a decrease in cost per lead of 70% using this approach. So both of those examples are from social media advertising campaigns, because 74% of adults in the U.S. are on social media. In fact, Facebook, where 1 in 5 minutes online is spent, has just rolled out a U.S.-wide job tab for business pages to accommodate the growing need and to compete with LinkedIn for recruiting. Besides having an audience containing passive candidates, social media platforms provide targeting options within their advertising that utilizes the vast amount of data that they collect from their users. Plus, they already meet the need to be mobile optimized, even offering cost-effective full-screen adverts on some platforms. Another benefit of using social media advertising platforms is that it drives traffic to your existing applicant funnels, like your website career page, where it can provide the social proof candidates unfamiliar with your company need to see before they take action on your offer. By seeing that others are engaged and saying positive things about your company, they are more likely to open an employment conversation with you. And it allows for increased organic reach with easy built-in tools to share your opportunity on their networks at no added cost for you at that time. Plus, with targeting and your messaging, your offer will stand out in the daily onslaught of advertising we experience each day. Think of how many ads you were shown today but did not see because their message wasn't relevant to you. That is one way you are reducing costs in targeting on social media paid advertising. You're reducing poor fits and clicks by first filtering with targeting and then again with messaging. Plus, it can scale easily to meet the changes in the workforce needs. We all know that there's boom and bust in construction. Now, how could you implement something like this for your company? Let's break it down into 6 stages. And again, I encourage you to take notes and write down questions for at the end of the presentation. And this is recorded, and there will be a slide deck, and there's lots of supplemental resources for you. So first, you want to get clear on who you want to hire by defining your ideal employee. If you're looking for more than a warm body, it's worth taking the time to understand who you are targeting with your recruitment marketing, not only to decrease advertising costs, but to produce better candidate matches for your company culture. One easy way to do this is to ask yourself, if you had to have 10 new employees today and they were a clone of one of your current employees, who would that employee be? To identify that current employee, think about what attributes you value. Is it perhaps who is most profitable, is simply a joy to work with, or often refers your company to new employees, or demonstrates a high degree of professionalism? Who is it that you really want more of on your team? Then literally sit down and make a list. You want to list out the following. What is important to them in an employer? Where do they come from? What is their work history? Why did they hire on with you in the first place? And why are they staying with you? What helps them thrive in their job or build their chosen career? And what are their career aspirations? And key to this is, what do you value? What value do you offer as an employer? From this exercise, you'll begin to see what you can leverage in your offer to appeal to attract more candidates like this ideal employee. It will also help you to narrow your audience with the targeting capabilities of your chosen advertising platform. So keep this list handy. Your ad offer and messaging should be created and crafted from the perspective and interest of your ideal employee only. As you draft offers, always be asking the question, what would attract someone like this employee to engage with this offer? Then we want to select our sourcing platform. So you want to figure out where your ideal candidates would spend and do spend their online time. If an ideal candidate is actively seeking work, you already have that covered on job boards. But where else can you find them online and advertise your employment opportunity to them? Try asking your current ideal employees where they spend their time online. Find out what social media platforms they prefer. Is it Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Snapchat, or something else? Matching the social platform to ideal employees will optimize for relevancy from the start. Social media platforms attract different user demographics. An example is that LinkedIn tends to be better for more professional job positions and less effective at reaching, say, electrical apprentices, whereas Twitter might be a better option for finding apprentices. And if they're not one of the 74% of adults in the U.S. on social media, well, that's fine. Do they use the internet to look for things? Great. What search engine do they use? Is it Google? Is it Yahoo? Is it Bing? So just like social media platforms, each of those search engines has an advertiser feature. Probably the most popular and most well-known is Google AdWords. And that's called PPC, right? Pay per click. So go look at the PPC options available on those platforms. And just a word on PPC, do take the time to get educated on your chosen platform. It's really easy to blow money. Once you have launched your campaigns, be sure to test and measure results and stay up to date on algorithm changes to avoid poor ROI. And I just really never, ever recommend to set and forget any campaign. Pre-filtering of candidates actually began back with your offer and your messaging. That's why we had the first two stages. And then filtering was applied again when you chose your platform, but now we are entering more direct filtering of leads, all with the intention of increasing the quality of the candidate leads delivered to your team. So utilize the targeting features of your chosen platform to only place your ads in front of an intentional audience, for example, a geographical area. And there is an entire rabbit hole to disappear down here for audience targeting tactics, and I'm going to avoid it and say that you really need to dive into whatever your chosen platform is and use the frequently asked questions and resources, and even seek out a blog on tactics for that particular platform, because looking at different audience tactics is very specific to the platform. So take the time to do that. And depending on what data that platform gathers from its users, it's possible to get really quite granular on that. It's quite fun. So a next level of filtering is that the candidate has to be interested enough in your offer that they are willing to share their contact information and agree to be contacted. Consider how closely you guard and value your own personal contact information online. It's a big deal to share your personal phone number. So those efforts to pre-filter and target will increase the quality of the candidate lead delivered to your team, which helps them achieve their workforce goals and makes the tasking of sourcing new electrical workers all the more enjoyable and productive, as they have a higher quality person to deal with. So no one likes clunky, poorly designed tools that dull quickly. So consider reaching out to your recruiting team to understand their workflow before deciding on how candidate leads will be delivered from the chosen social platform. The efforts to integrate with your team's workflow will make follow-up easier for them, and timely follow-up will increase the likelihood that a candidate lead will convert into a hire. In the online sales arena, research shows that 35 to 50% of sales go to the company that follows up first, and 80% of sales require 5 follow-ups to convert. In this buyer's market, it makes sense to expedite follow-up where possible to support your team to meet those workforce goals and convert leads into hires. So research the lead delivery options offered by your chosen platform. They vary. Is it simple email delivery? Is it access to an online database, file downloads, CSV, or is it messages within the program itself, platform itself? So which options out of those complement and integrate the best with your existing processes and workflow are the questions to investigate. And for my fellow data lovers, instead of wondering what good that piece of direct mail or ad posting did for your company, you can simply look at the data results. Each platform will offer their own version of reporting on ad exposure. It's also called reach. Ad interactions like comments or likes. It'll also list out leads submitted or conversions, as well as the average cost per click. And not only is this useful for budgetary planning, but what you measure, you can improve. So using proven online marketing tactics can help you decrease that cost per click and increase your ROI. So for example, A/B testing. Try testing 2 different images, or 2 different offers, or 2 different messages, or even test platforms and compare the results. Whichever wins, test against the winner, and then test again and again and again, and you'll always be improving. Also consider tracking conversion from candidate lead to hire, or the quality of leads produced from your chosen platform or ad campaign. This can be as simple as handwritten notes or more advanced with pixel tracking. Each platform is different, so it's best to refer to the frequently asked questions or resources on your chosen platform to access the most current instructions, because things do change. And once you're seeing the results you want, adjust the ad spend to scale the quantity of inbound candidate leads as needed. So this strategy can also build a company asset of qualified candidates to reach out to in the future with other opportunities. So if the timing isn't quite right for them to hire on with you today, or maybe your workforce needs changed and you're just collecting leads now, get permission to contact them for future opportunities and updates. Then you are building an asset of qualified candidates for your team to make future offers to you again and again without spending another dime on new outreach or advertising. Instead, it's just the time it'll take you to send an email or make a phone call. And those candidates know others like themselves, so they are perfect to ask for referrals. Or on some social platforms, you can take a list of email addresses of your ideal candidates and then use that list to create a target audience to market to, or put your advertisement, your job ad in front of. So those 6 stages form a basic outline of a simple inbound candidate sourcing strategy. It targets, filters, and delivers candidate leads to your team. But sometimes you need more than the basics. So here are some additional tips from the toolkit of online marketing to get over the biggest obstacles you're facing, which are attracting the candidate's attention and getting them to open an employment conversation. So once you've overcome those obstacles, your recruiting team is ready to convert them with your awesome EVP, that employee value proposition and company culture, to actually get them to hire on with you. So if your challenge is that you're not getting enough clicks on your offer, first revisit the offer from the perspective of your ideal employee. Would it appeal to them? And if so, is it attractive enough to have them share their contact information with you? If not, try leading with more value to create more incentive for them to engage. Maybe it is offering a coupon for a tool discount, useful training materials, or maybe even possibly an invite to an open house barbecue to meet the crew, or perhaps just being more explicit about the reasons your ideal employee is working for you. For example, use a testimonial from an employee mentioning the monthly barbecue or in-house training that's available or what they like most about the company culture. And video is great for that little tip. Or maybe you're just getting too many submissions for the available manpower to follow up in a timely fashion. There's two tactics to consider for this. Both automate instantly feeding more information on your employment opportunity to the candidate, making them a warmer lead for when your team has time to follow up. So one, what happens after they submit their contact info? Usually, you change the ad settings on the back end to redirect them to a website link after they submit on an advertisement. Instead of dropping them on the home page of your website or even your careers page, consider adding a custom web page that speaks directly to the candidate about what they most care about. Use those emotional levers. Try using testimonials, images, video, and educate them about why your company is their next best career move, again, from their perspective. This could be a good spot for the photos from the company golf tournament or Christmas party, that sort of thing. So second, if you gathered their email address, consider using an email autoresponder to instantly follow up with a thank you note and more information on what they might like about working with your company, or why not send more value in that email to continue building a trusting relationship with your company as an employer that values them as an employee. Write the emails from the same perspective as you did writing your ad. What would they find useful? Share that with them. An example of this could be something as simple as saving a time-saving tip on a job. So is it difficult to keep track of the candidate leads? If your ATS doesn't have a lead tracking feature or paper notes aren't enough anymore, consider using a customer relationship management database, also just called a CRM. As a sales resource, CRMs are suited for tracking and organizing candidate leads. They can also apply scoring and track live interactions like email opens to help recruiters prioritize follow-up. Multi-user features mean that the entire recruiting team can share notes and status updates in a central web-accessible location. Status updates can help you measure results and store contacts for future workforce outreach offers. So increasing that organizational efficiency with the CRM can ensure that no leads are lost in the mix. So I'm not sure how much time I have left, but on your screen is the promised link where you can find the slide deck and supplemental resources on this strategy. If you have more questions that you aren't comfortable asking here or that are specific to your company, feel free to drop me an email. Just mention that you're an IEC member, and I'll be happy to answer any questions either via email or we can even hop on a call. I'm happy to help you guys out however I can. So back to you, Dave.
Thank you so much, Dainella. That was great. We did have a couple questions come in, so I'm just going to share those with you real quick. The first one we got was, what should you expect for a cost per lead or a cost per click?
All right. Well, most social media marketing platforms work on a bidding system, which means that the cost per lead or cost per conversion or cost per click, as it's called, will vary by the competition bidding on that targeted audience member that you want to advertise to. So it'll fluctuate. And there are other factors like algorithms that will reward you for relevancy, which is another reason to stay up to date and never set and forget a campaign. And the social interaction that you get will also affect the cost. It'll help decrease it. For targeting electricians, I've seen under $1 to almost $200 in the more highly competitive areas. And you can look at your existing online job board performance reports as a reference, but it isn't really quite comparing the same thing, as this is sourcing passive and active candidates, not just an active candidate board audience like you would get through like Indeed, for instance.
Okay. The second question was, can you talk a little bit about who else is using these types of strategies?
Sure. Yeah, if you look around, you'll find it out there with companies like PepsiCo, Intel, Lockheed Martin, McDonald's, and even within your own membership, I've seen recruiting ads that employ inbound methods on LinkedIn. And if you look at the top 50 electrical contractor list from ECNM, check out what Pike and Helix Electric are doing on social media, and that'll give you some ideas.
Okay, and then we had a question about what we should do if we receive negative reviews or comments on our social media platforms.
Yeah, humans are social critters with loud opinions at times. So there are kind of two general categories that negative comments fall into. There's legitimate complaints, and then there's trolls. In the case of the first, it's really an opportunity to respond in such a way that you actually create greater trust in your brand and in your company as an employer by showing that you meet concerns. In the case of the latter, trolls, as they're called, your loyal fans might crush the troll for you by responding in the comment section, or it's really apparent to most social media users when a troll attack is occurring, and it just really gets ignored. And then there's also a really interesting note from, again, from the online sales marketing arena, that most consumers are distrustful if all they ever see is positive comments. So it's actually okay and useful to have the occasional negative comment in there, especially if it's troll-like and makes the person look silly anyways. So this question comes up a bunch, and I've provided links for more research and deep dive into it if you'd like on that resources link.
Okay. And one last question that we had come in, just to confirm, when you're posting an ad on social media platforms, would you recommend posting an ad explicitly advertising for open positions, or would you highlight your company in general? Or does it just depend on what you determine from step one when you generate a list on the ideal candidate that you're looking for?
So this is really about capturing attention at the very, very front end first interaction. So you want to go with that step that you last mentioned, which is that stage one. What is going to attract the ideal employee, the ideal candidate to begin that conversation, open that employment conversation with you? So it isn't necessarily about doing a job post. You have that nailed. It's already out there. People can find that if they want it. It's about just creating curiosity and saying, hey, that sounds like me. I'm looking for that in my employer. I want to be valued. I want to get great training to advance my career. And this company supports that. Well, I'm curious. I'd like to talk to them.
Okay. That's all the questions we had come in. So that concludes today's webinar. I'd like to thank you again. There was some great information today. Also, I'd like to remind our attendees to register for our next webinar, which is How to Grow Your Business by Adding More Trade Lines, presented by Mike Aguilera, CEO, Warrior, and co-founder of Gold Medal Service. That'll be on April 26th at 2 p.m. You can also view a full list of our upcoming webinars on IAC's website. Thank you for attending today.